Hey, this is a teardown of the Apple iPhone 6 Plus. We're going to go ahead and do a screen replacement disassembly in this particular video. So you can see the screen is actually in good condition, but we're going to take it apart and take a look and see what exactly needs to be used to do this. We'll need a small pentalobe screwdriver to remove the bottom screws, a small Phillips screwdriver to remove any internal screws. We have a nylon spudger here to pull up some connections, a couple guitar picks to help us release the screen, and I like to use these tile suction cups. Give a nice good grip on the screen when you go to remove it. One of the first things you want to do is go ahead and make sure that your device is completely powered off. As we will be removing the screen and undoing the battery, just give it a nice easy shutdown here. Alright, the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is remove both pentalobe screws right next to the charge port at the bottom here. Make sure you keep all of your screws in the exact order or diagram in which you remove them. It's very important that the exact screws go back into the phone when you go to reassemble it. Take our tile suction cup and place it just right above the home button here. Get a nice good solid squeeze on it. And really what we're going to do is just pull it back to kind of release the glass a little bit here from the metal frame. Enough that we can use to stick in a small pry tool like this guitar pick. I'm going to go ahead and put it in, and we're going to twist it just a little bit back and forth. Make sure you're prying on the frame itself. There's a plastic frame around the glass. You want to make sure you're prying on that. Get it nice and loose. That way you can run down the sides of the phone and just kind of twist as you go. There's a couple of little connectors that you're looking to pop off as you go down the side. Just kind of twist it and you'll see that it'll get a nice good separation going. We can go ahead and undo our suction cup, pull the frame down a little bit and open it at a 90-degree angle. This will give us access to the two screws we need to remove. This one right here to the right of the battery, and then one closer to the actual side or frame of the phone itself. This will let us go ahead and pull up the little metal connector that is holding or covering the battery connection. Just go ahead and pop that right out. The next step is to go ahead and pop off the battery connection. Just put your pry tool just right underneath and go ahead and pull that up. Can be a little bit tricky. It's got a little small space you can actually get into here. So just try to find a way that you can get your pry tool in there and just go ahead and pop it right up. Alright, now that we have the battery connection removed, we can go ahead and start on the 5 screws that hold in the ribbon cable connectors for the LCD touchscreen camera. Now it's important that you keep these for diagrammed on how you remove them. They go in the exact same holes. These are different size screws, different diameters, different lengths. So make sure you understand exactly which slot they came out of on the phone. Go ahead and undo all 5 of them. Now we can go ahead and use our hand to pull off the metal shielding here that's covering those connectors. Set that aside. Take our nylon spudger. We're going to undo each connector. So the first connector, here's the second, the third off to the right, and then the fourth way in the back here. That'll let us free up our screen. We can go ahead and set the base aside. Now the next step is to go ahead and remove all the components off of the back of this screen that need to be transferred over. So we need to undo these screws up here to remove the earpiece speaker, front-facing camera, microphone, ribbon cable. So undo all 3 of them, and remember to keep these screws in the order in which you remove them as well. So they have to go back in the exact same spots. Now with that removed, we can go ahead and take the metal connection off of the rear of the phone. Pull the little ribbon cable back. That'll give us access to the earpiece speaker. Go ahead and just remove that real fast. Now with that removed, we can go ahead and take the camera off. Now, the proximity sensor area has this little tiny ribbon cable here that holds down kind of the mic. What you need to do is just try to gently lift it off with your fingers or use a pry tool. Normally I'll try to separate the cable back out of the other 3 that are still there and just kind of pry this cable forward. It has a very small ribbon cable connection to it, so you want to be nice and careful as you're removing it. Don't want to tear that, or else you have to buy a new cable for your phone to work properly. So just taking my time, I'm not putting a ton of force into it. I'm just trying to get underneath it. Once you get it separated a little bit, you can just go ahead and pull back. There's a little bit of adhesive on top of the earpiece speaker port area. You'll see that the proximity sensor kind of area here goes into the specific holes back onto the front of the phone. We want to go ahead and remove the home button as well. So we're going to undo the two Phillips screws that hold the home button housing on. We'll take the right one off first, and then remove the left one. That'll allow us to remove the little metal shielding here. Go ahead and set that aside. Now there is actually a little connection here for the home button. You can actually separate this from the back plate. So we're just going to pop that up, just like the other ribbon cable connections. Now if you firmly press on the home button, and you just give it a little bit of force, just keep prying it. You don't want to push super hard. What you're trying to do is just separate the glue a little bit here. A lot of people will heat it up a little bit, and that sometimes will melt your rubber gasket. So just giving it just gentle pressure there will go ahead and separate. We can go ahead and pull that back. Now it does have some cabling that's attached to it as well. So just using our nylon spudger, just get underneath it a little bit, kind of wiggle it back and forth, and just go ahead and pull it right off. It might have some adhesive that's holding it down. Just go ahead and gently pull that back. Perfect. Now we have our home button removed. We're going to undo the screws down the sides of this device to remove the back housing. Now with the home button, you want to make sure that you use the original home button, or if you do not use the original button, your fingerprint sensor will not function properly. So here's our second screw down the side of the rear metal housing here. Here's our fourth and the final one for that particular side. Take out the one just right here at the bottom of the metal housing. Be a little bit tricky sometimes. Two more screws to go. I apologize, one more screw to go. Now with that done, we can go ahead and peel this back just a little bit. Now, when you're doing this, you want to be a little bit gentle. There's a cable down here at the bottom, kind of right next to where my nylon tool is coming. I'm just trying to loosen this area up just a little bit, so we can get it to slide back. Start here at the top, then pry it forward. You can see it's stuck on right here. This is the cable connector. So you want to be gentle as you're removing this. Sometimes this cable will want to tear. It's attached to the back plate here, and it runs all the way up to the top of the phone. So what we're going to do is take our spudger here, and we're going to slide it just right behind the LCD here, the backlight, and we're just going to press kind of underneath it and wiggle it back and forth and get it to pry up for us. Just taking it nice and slow so I don't hurt the cable at all. Alright, with that done, we can go ahead and separate this from the display. And there you have it. Majority of everything's been removed. If your new display doesn't come with a couple of connections here, this one for the front-facing camera, the proximity sensor area here, you want to swap those over. Just pull them out. Use a little tiny bit of super glue to stick them back down. Not a big deal. Now, if you found this video helpful, go ahead and hit the like button. If you have any questions, throw them down in the comments. I'll do my best to try to answer those. And if you want to see the reassembly video, I'll go ahead and throw that down in the description. As always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.